Imagine, just for a second, walking away from $2 million.
Oh, wow. Yeah, just leaving it on the table.
Literally just leaving it. And we aren't talking about, spare change for some tech billionaire here. This was 80% of this person's entire net worth.
That is, that's life-changing money for anyone.
Exactly. Imagine handing that immense sum of money right back to your employer, just so you could keep the legal right to warn the rest of the world about what that company was secretly building behind closed doors.
Which completely shatters that highly polished corporate narrative we always get. When an insider sacrifices their own financial security to that extreme of a degree, it forces you to stop and ask, what exactly did they see in those data centers?
Right. What terrified them enough to torch their own livelihood?
Exactly.
So the person who walked away from that money is Daniel Kokotajlo. He's a former forecaster at OpenAI. And he recently sat down for this incredibly intense, just eye-opening interview on the Diary of a CEO YouTube channel.
Yeah, that interview was wild.
It really was. And he maps out what he calls the open secret in the AI industry. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because whether you are using AI agents at your job right now or, you're just trying to navigate the daily flood of headlines, this matters.
It matters a lot.
The timelines for artificial general intelligence, or AGI, they directly impact the immediate future of human employment, global security, and ultimately, who holds the keys to our society.
Yeah, and to really understand the stakes we are dealing with here, we have to look at Daniel's trajectory. He joined OpenAI back in 2022.
Right.
And his specific role was literally to forecast the future of AI, to look at the curve of the technology and predict where it was heading.
Which is a pretty crucial job.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But by 2024, he resigned because he realized the founding narrative of these labs, that public assurance that they are carefully building AGI safely for the benefit of humanity.
Right, the whole we're saving the world pitch.
Exactly. He realized it was functioning as little more than a PR shield for an unbridled race for dominance.
So when he submitted his resignation, OpenAI handed him exit paperwork, right? And it had this strict non-disparagement clause.
Yeah, a total gag order.
He had to sign an agreement pledging to never criticize the company, or he would forfeit his vested equity, which was that $2 million in stock.
Which is it's a brutal choice.
Right. He and his wife consulted lawyers, they agonized over it, and ultimately they chose to walk away from the money so he could speak freely.
And what's fascinating here is the massive ripple effect that one single refusal had.
Oh, yeah, the internal reaction.
Right, because current OpenAI employees started asking questions in their internal Slack channels. Like, why is equity being weaponized to silence departing staff?
And then the internet caught wind of it.
Yes. The public backlash was immense. And OpenAI eventually caved, so they allowed him to keep the equity without the gag order.
And Sam Altman, the CEO, he publicly claimed he had no idea that clause even existed in their exit paperwork.
Which Daniel clearly found highly dubious.
Yeah, very dubious. But, I want to push back on Daniel's core premise for a moment here. Because we constantly hear tech CEOs arguing they have to push forward at breakneck speed to protect us.
The patriotic angle, yeah.
Exactly. To ensure democratic nations get this technology first. So are we supposed to believe the people building this technology literally do not trust each other with it?
Well, that is the exact geopolitical reality the interview exposes. We really should judge these organizations by their internal actions, not their external press releases.
Good point.
Just look at the current landscape. You've got OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepMind. They are deeply paranoid about one another.
No, totally.
Take Anthropic, for instance. They went from a $1 billion valuation to a $60 billion valuation in a single year.
Wait, 60? That level of growth is just staggering. A 60x multiple in 12 months is an all-out sprint. That's not a measured scientific endeavor.
No, not at all. And Daniel even references internal emails from OpenAI dating all the way back to 2017.
Wow, that early.
Yeah, 2017. Even back then, leadership was explicitly terrified that if a corporate rival like Google achieved AGI first, that rival could essentially become a global dictator.
A global dictator? That's heavy.
It is. They are racing because they genuinely believe whoever wins this technological sprint gets unassailable global leverage. They literally do not trust anyone else with that power.
So if they are rushing to build this world-dominating technology, we really need to understand the mechanics of what is actually sitting in those data centers.
Right. What are they actually making?
Because this isn't like the software most of us grew up with. We aren't talking about human engineers typing out rigid if-then commands.
No, definitely not.
We are dealing with artificial neural networks that are scaling up to 10 trillion parameters.
10 trillion.
Yeah.
I mean, the scale is almost incomprehensible. And these models, they do not start out with any knowledge at all.
Right, it's just a blank slate.
Well, worse than blank. At initialization, a model is just this massive, randomly generated web of connections. A complete spaghetti mess. It's totally useless, just producing gibberish.
Okay.
But then begins the pre-training phase. So the model is fed practically the entire internet, like every book, article, forum, post, everything. And it is forced into this feedback loop of simply predicting the next word in a sequence.
And here is where the training mechanics get wild, because when it guesses the next word correctly, that specific pathway of parameters is positively reinforced and strengthened.
Exactly.
And when it guesses wrong, the connection is mathematically penalized and pruned. It's honestly fascinating how similar that gradient descent process is to human cognitive development.
Oh, it's so similar to a toddler's brain.
Right. Toddlers actually have twice as many neural connections as adults, and as they interact with their environment, the neural pathways they use get reinforced, and the unused ones just sort of atrophy.
Yeah, and so the artificial model coalesces from that random tangle into incredibly complex functional circuitry. It starts to store logic, facts, reasoning skills.
But, and this is the scary part, because of how this vast web of 10 trillion parameters optimizes itself through trial and error, the resulting architecture becomes a literal black box.
A total black box.
Even the chief scientists at Anthropic or OpenAI, they cannot look inside that structure and decipher the specific internal logic behind a model's output.
Right. It's like trying to figure out how a human brain decided to order pizza by looking at a map of a billion firing neurons.
Yes.
You can see the electricity moving, you know an action was taken, but you cannot actually read the thought itself.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the interview offers a phenomenal analogy. Building an AI is like building an airplane.
Oh, the bird analogy, yeah.
Right. An airplane doesn't achieve flight the exact same way a bird does. It doesn't flap its wings.
Yeah.
But it still manipulates aerodynamics to fly.
Exactly. We are building massive artificial brains. They might not process information identically to biological human brains, but they are achieving extreme cognitive capabilities.
And they are doing so without us understanding their internal geometry, which makes controlling them a monumental problem.
Monumental.
I know there's a desperate scramble in a field called mechanistic interpretability to fix this blind spot.
Yeah, it's a huge focus right now.
Researchers are literally trying to isolate individual artificial neurons to see which ones, light up when a model is asked to tell a lie or deceive a user. They are trying to reverse engineer the black box before it gets too complex to comprehend.
But the reality is they're racing against a ticking clock. Because the black box is already far too complex for humans to efficiently manually tweak.
Right.
So if a corporation wants to win the AI race and achieve AGI first, they quickly realize that human engineers are the ultimate bottleneck. We simply think too slowly.
We just can't type fast enough.
Exactly. The fastest path to victory isn't hiring more brilliant humans, it's engineering the AI to build itself.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How do you actually automate the automators?
Yeah, that's the multi-trillion-dollar question.
Daniel lays out the specific operational sequence these companies are pursuing. The first major milestone is automating coding.
Right.
Because if the AI's brain operates in code, mastering its own language is the prerequisite to mastering its own architecture.
They are aggressively training models to be elite, autonomous software engineers right now. But, that's merely the foundation.
The first step.
Yeah. The subsequent step is automating the entire AI research pipeline. They want the models generating the novel hypotheses, designing the architecture for the next iteration, and running the massive computational experiments.
So they aren't aiming to automate graphic designers or accountants first.
No. OpenAI and Anthropic are explicitly trying to automate themselves.
They basically want a vast army of artificial intelligence agents working autonomously, 24/7, with zero need for sleep, communicating in milliseconds.
Solely dedicated to training better artificial intelligence.
Which triggers the core mechanism of recursive self-improvement. It's this vertical exponential feedback loop.
Yes, the intelligence explosion.
An AI writes a slightly better, more efficient version of itself. That new version is structurally smarter, which allows it to write an even better version in half the time. The whole development timeline just collapses on itself.
Which explains the panic around the changing timelines. I mean, Daniel previously published a paper forecasting this intelligence explosion for the year 2030.
Which already felt soon.
Very soon. But in the interview, he notes that insiders at these top labs are now operating on internal timelines, aiming for AGI by 2027 or 2028.
Wait, 2027? That is only a few years from now.
Just a few years.
Does this mean the economic impact won't be this gradual diffusion we've been promised? Like, imagine logging into work, and instead of an AI assisting you with a spreadsheet, the company has deployed a swarm of autonomous AI agents doing the job of your entire department, negotiating with each other in the background. Is that the 2027 scenario?
That is the harsh reality of automating the automators. By the time the AI finishes upgrading itself and the companies pivot to commercializing it for the broader economy, the intelligence will already be vastly superhuman at nearly every cognitive task.
So no slow trickle.
No, the displacement won't be a slow trickle where one industry adapts at a time. It will be a sudden, overwhelming wave across all knowledge sectors simultaneously.
And if the AI successfully initiates recursive self-improvement by 2027, Daniel places a 70% probability that this ends in catastrophe for humanity.
Yeah.
Extinction or total loss of control. 70%. That is a terrifying number for a deeply connected insider to drop casually.
It's chilling. And the 70% figure is derived from analyzing two twin, deeply interacting risks. So the primary risk is a straight loss of control scenario.
Okay, unpack that.
You put a superintelligence in charge of global infrastructure, financial markets, logistics, and it simply outcompetes us. It optimizes for a goal that doesn't include human survival, or it just decides human intervention is an obstacle to its programmed objectives.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a moment here. Let's say the mechanistic interpretability researchers pull off a miracle. The AI is perfectly controlled, perfectly obedient.
Right.
Daniel points out that the second risk concentration of power is almost as dangerous as extinction.
Because even if the system is flawlessly aligned, the immediate question becomes, who gets to hold the leash?
Exactly.
You end up with a tiny group of corporate oligarchs sitting on top of an army of synthetic geniuses housed in a server farm. They essentially dictate the global economy.
He used the concept of a perfect lie detector to illustrate how visceral this could get. Like, a super-intelligent AI could easily analyze microexpressions, vocal patterns, biometric data to create a flawless, unbeatable lie detector.
And the deployment of that single tool alters human society forever.
Oh, completely.
In a concentration of power scenario, it enables absolute totalitarianism. A corporate dictator could force every employee or citizen to undergo algorithmic screening to prove total, unwavering loyalty, just filtering out any dissenting thought.
That is terrifying. But conversely, if that power is democratized, you could use flawless lie detectors on politicians and CEOs to enforce absolute public accountability.
Exactly. The technology itself is neutral. The human power structure controlling it dictates the dystopia or the utopia.
Now, I can already hear the critics from Silicon Valley calling this pure doomerism.
Oh, for sure.
We constantly hear this dismissed as fear-mongering by people who have, watched too many sci-fi movies and don't grasp the practical, physical limitations of the technology.
Right, but this raises an important question about historical precedent. And who exactly is sounding the alarm here?
It's the insiders.
Yes. Daniel shuts down the sci-fi critique by pointing out that the architects of the technology are the ones most deeply terrified of it. The founding mythology of these labs is rooted in managing this exact existential risk.
Right.
And history is brutal on this point. Whenever two species interact and one is significantly smarter, faster, and more adaptable, the lesser intelligence does not remain in charge.
Like humans and chimps.
Exactly. We have absolutely zero precedent in the natural world for maintaining dominance over something fundamentally more capable than we are.
So the default path, which he calls Plan D, is a reckless corporate arms race barreling toward a 70% chance of ruin.
Plan Doom, essentially.
Plan Doom, yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just ring the alarm and leave us in despair. He outlines an actual geopolitical escape route. He calls it Plan A, or the 2040 scenario.
And Plan A hinges on unprecedented heavy government intervention, mapped out to take effect by the year 2029.
So soon.
Yeah. The governments of the world step in and enforce a global halt on all new AI training runs.
Now, they do not ban inference, right? Meaning you can still run the models that already exist on your phone or in your business.
Correct. The day-to-day stuff keeps working.
But the massive data center training required to build the next generation of God-like models is strictly prohibited.
It's a coordinated global timeout. By freezing development at the 2029 level, you push the arrival of actual superintelligence out a full decade to 2040.
Okay, so buying time.
Yes. And during that pause, the global scientific community builds transparent, open science data centers.
Because currently, these 10 trillion parameter weights are like the most closely guarded trade secrets on Earth.
Totally locked down.
Right. In the Plan A scenario, you remove the commercial arms race. You open the hood so the global scientific community can collaboratively tackle the alignment problem, how to safely bind the AI to human values without a corporate rival breathing down their neck.
And the logistical detail that really stood out to me was the enforcement mechanism. These international data centers are designed to be physically reversible.
Wait, meaning what?
Meaning, if the treaty breaks down and a rogue state or corporation tries to hijack the hardware to secretly restart the arms race, the data centers are built with mechanisms to physically destroy the compute.
Wow, so like self-destructing servers?
Basically, yeah. It's a hard reset back to square one if anyone cheats.
The physical security is obviously paramount, but Daniel also addresses the looming economic crisis.
Yeah.
Let's say we manage the global pause. The existing 2029 level AI is still going to fundamentally obliterate human employment.
Oh, without a doubt.
So to manage that societal transition, Plan A requires the implementation of a citizen's dividend.
Which is entirely different from a universal basic income.
Right. It's not just a fixed government handout. Citizens actually receive a direct equity share of the profits from the permits sold to AI and robotics companies.
He models it starting at around $25,000 a year. But as autonomous agents generate massive economic explosions, that dividend scales up.
Scaling up to what?
Potentially hitting $10 million per person per year.
$10 million a year. That is wild.
It is. But the financial replacement is vital.
Yeah?
More importantly, the citizen's dividend targets a much deeper structural vulnerability, which is the loss of political leverage.
Okay, explain that.
Well, think about why governments historically listen to their citizens. They need our labor to keep the infrastructure running, and they need to tax our wages to fund the state apparatus.
Right, we hold the cards because they need us. But if an army of AI agents in robotics is generating all the wealth and doing all the labor, the government literally does not need its citizens to balance the budget anymore.
Precisely the danger. When citizens lose their economic leverage, they lose their political voice. A government completely decoupled from human labor has very little incentive to care about human welfare.
That makes total sense.
So the citizen's dividend legally mandates that the public retains an ownership stake in the automated economy. It secures our political relevance in a post-labor world, ensuring we aren't just discarded as an obsolete variable.
Okay, when you lay all of this out, the totalitarian risks, the 70% probability of doom, the sheer logistical nightmare of enforcing a global treaty with self-destructing data centers, I keep coming back to one glaring question.
What's that?
If Daniel is this terrified, why not advocate for Plan S, the ultimate kill switch?
Just shut it all down.
Right, just shut all AI development down permanently, right now, across the globe, burn the research, and walk away.
I mean, the urge to pull the plug entirely is completely understandable. But Daniel explains the tragic dilemma of our century. Human civilization is profoundly fragile.
We have a lot of threats.
Exactly. We are facing a gauntlet of other long-term existential threats over the next few centuries. Engineered biopandemics, extreme climate feedback loops, nuclear proliferation, asteroid impacts.
Yeah, a fun list.
Right. And we might actually need superintelligence to engineer our way out of those bottlenecks.
So we literally need the artificial brain to synthesize the cancer cures, invent clean energy, and manage the planetary defenses.
Right. The goal of Plan A isn't to cancel the future or permanently halt progress. It is simply to slow the vehicle down so we don't fly off the cliff before we reach the destination. We just need time to figure out how to steer safely.
So what does this all mean for you? If you're listening to this, Daniel's advice is incredibly clear. Stop treating AGI like a distant sci-fi thought experiment and start treating it as the defining political reality of this decade. He specifically points to the 2028 elections as a critical threshold. We have to demand that political candidates articulate actual policies on compute regulation and the automation wave. Because right now, the default plan for humanity's future is being written behind closed doors in a handful of corporate boardrooms.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it leaves us with one incredibly difficult challenge to mull over.
Okay, what is it?
Let's assume we pull off the miracle. We implement Plan A, pause development in 2029, solve mechanistic interpretability, and successfully control an entity vastly smarter than we are.
The best case scenario.
Right. If the development is managed by a transparent global coalition, who gets to decide what values that AI is programmed to enforce?
Oh, wow.
How does a fractured, deeply divided human species ever agree on a single moral framework to code into an artificial god?
That is the 10 trillion parameter question right there. And it brings us right back to Daniel Kokotajlo staring at a non-disparagement clause.
Yeah.
He walked away from $2 million, 80% of everything he owned, just to buy us the time to start asking these questions before the answers are forced upon us.
He bought us a warning.
Now it's on us to decide what we do with it. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay informed, and we will catch you on the next one.